Welcome to the podcast, It's Not You, It's PCOS. Hi, I'm Lora.
And I'm Nick.
We are two expert accredited practicing dietitians and nutritionists specializing in nutrition for PCOS and fertility.
Together we have over 25 years of experience, and we want to reassure you that if you have ever tried to make diet and lifestyle changes and failed, it's not you, it's PCOS.
Stay tuned as we share our favorite evidence-based nutrition and lifestyle tips that we use with our own clients every day,
so that you can start to feel your best with PCOS.
Welcome back to It's Not You, It's PCOS, the podcast. I'm Lora, fertility dietitian.
And I'm Nick. And today, let's talk about fat. Yep, the good, the bad, and the totally misunderstood.
Exactly. Fat isn't just about calories. It's a powerful role in hormones, inflammation, fertility, and even mood. But not all fats are created equally. And for PCOS, the type of fat really does matter.
So we're going to break it down today. We're going to talk about the different types of fats, what they do in your body, and how they affect PCOS. And we're going to give you some practical strategies to get the balance right, because it's not black and white, is it, Laura?
No, not at all. So let's start with omega-3 fatty acids, because honestly, they are the heroes here. They are totally underlooked, and research shows omega-3s can improve triglycerides, insulin resistance, inflammation, mood, and even support a healthy pregnancy. And there's also new evidence showing that it may actually boost fertility as well in women with PCOS.
Sounds pretty good to me. Well, let's talk about the research. So in one large study from the American Society of Reproductive Medicine, they found that omega-3 intake was actually linked to better fertility outcomes. And in the Nurses' Health Study, which is a very, very well-known study, women who consumed more omega-3s had a higher chance of conceiving. So this is pretty huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great that we've got this research because it's empowering. But it's important to know that all omega-3s are not the same. There's actually 3 types of omega-3s. First, it's ALA, and that's found in your plant foods like walnuts, chia, and flax seeds and hemp seeds, but also olive oil and avocado. So there's EPA and DHA, which is the other 2. And these are the powerful players you'll find in egg yolks and oily fish like salmon, trout, tuna, and sardines. And these are the forms that your body uses most efficiently. And that's why we do recommend marine sources, generally speaking, over the plant-based sources.
And so there is a catch. Only a small amount of this ALA from plant sources actually gets converted into the more beneficial EPA and DHA in the body. So while plant sources are awesome, most people need fish or a good algae oil, like a supplement, to hit these optimal levels.
Exactly. DHA makes up about 20% of the dry weight of the brain. It's literally a part of your cells. And for anyone trying to conceive or already pregnant, DHA is crucial for your baby's brain development. So you can see there's multiple benefits for taking omega-3s and also including them in your diet.
It's just made me think I need to go and take my fish oil supplement. I haven't taken it for so long, and last time I had salmon was probably a week ago. So yeah, maybe the brain's not functioning as well.
Yeah, I've actually just run out of mine. So it's a good reminder for us all to check in on those omega-3s.
Yeah. So for PCOS, though, specifically, systematic reviews show omega-3s can actually lower triglycerides and total cholesterol, improve insulin sensitivity, reduce that inflammation, which is so common in PCOS, and support more regular cycles. And even lower those testosterone levels, which we tend to talk to our patients about quite a lot. And this can help with symptoms like acne and excessive hair growth.
Yes. And that's such a big thing, isn't it? Like acne and excessive hair growth can really impact how someone feels. And, it's great that we've got this as an option. And I guess beyond the lab results, people often notice changes not only in their skin, but also improved mood, less bloating. And sometimes we're working on the menstrual cycle, and that's a part of your clinical picture, then ovulation, that can help with ovulation. And there's some research to show better egg quality as well.
100%. So let's move on to omega-6 fats. So some of you may not have ever heard of omega-6. You've probably heard of omega-3, but guess what? There's an omega-6 as well. These omega-6s, they get a bit of a bad rap, and rightly so in some cases, but they're not all the enemy. It's about balance. So omega-6s are essential too, but they're really, really easy to get in our normal meal patterns. So in excess, especially compared to omega-3s, they can actually drive inflammation. So we want to work on getting some balance. And like, I'm just thinking, what's a good source of, or what are some sources of omega-6? So a healthy version of omega-6 might be like tofu, whereas an unhealthy version of omega-6 might be something like some processed foods that do cause inflammation. And part of that could be because of the dominance of that omega-6 over the omega-3.
It's a great point. Think of it like a seesaw. Ideally, the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio should be around 4:1, but most Western diets are sitting at 15:1 or higher. So that's quite a big shift. If we're thinking about the Western diet compared to the Mediterranean diet, where we do see that ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 being higher, and that's optimal. We do want that, diet to be rich in those anti-inflammatory properties, which support hormonal health as well.
So improving this ratio by obviously upping the omega-3 and moderating those omega-6s can really support better metabolic and also reproductive health in PCOS.
Absolutely. And there's also other types of fats as well. There's the saturated fat and trans fats, and these ones are the sneaky ones. They are the fats that in excess can worsen insulin resistance and contribute to inflammation. So some common culprits are, surprisingly, most people think this is quite a healthy option, but it's coconut oil and coconut milk and coconut cream. Although they are plant-based, but they are still very high in saturated fats. There's something to be wary of if you do consume these products quite often. Pastries and biscuits and baked goods often made with palm or hydrogenated oils. So another one to be wary of. Cheaper chocolates and confectionaries, they have lots of hidden palm oil. Snack foods like chips and crackers are usually fried in omega-6 rich oils.
So Laura, you're talking about all the good tasty stuff, right?
Yeah, unfortunately I am. Yeah.
So often the tastier stuff doesn't seem to be as healthy for us and is addictive as well. I don't know if you've experienced that with any of your patients.
Yeah, absolutely. They're made to taste good for a reason, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they want you to have more. One little packet of chips is never going to be enough.
And it's amazing, like if you do get on a bit of a streak, for want of a better word, with some of these unhealthy foods, it's funny when we actually go cold turkey and then after a long time you go back to them, they actually don't taste that good anymore.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that when that happens, because people really do feel like they are addicted and may even say, but I just love this. It's my only vice. And, like, I can't imagine life without it. And then when we make some simple swaps and we decrease the amount, and eventually they don't really feel like it, and there's a period of time that they do go without it, and then they return and they're like, it's actually not that good. I actually don't love it as much, and I'm okay without it. So it's absolutely possible to reduce your intake and also live without.
Yeah, for sure. Confession.
Love a confession. Tell me more.
I used to have a massive problem with chocolate. Like it was getting to the point where, I was stealing chocolate from my wife and sneakily. And yeah, I just decided one day to go cold turkey Not to say that's the only way, like moderation's probably better, but I just wasn't strong enough at the time. So I went cold turkey. I didn't eat any chocolate for 9 months straight. I'm talking chocolate muffins, chocolate ice cream, chocolate bars, all that. Went off it all. And then when I came back to it 9 months later, exactly the same thing as we were talking about. I was cured. As much as I still like chocolate, I certainly don't go overboard because I know that it doesn't nourish me. It doesn't make me feel amazing. So I've got a hold of it now. Hmm. Just thought I'd
Good on
share
you,
that.
Nick. Yeah. I think it's so good to hear that. As dietitians, I think lots of people think that we have the perfect diet and we do not eat chocolate, we don't eat out, we don't, but it's all about balance. And yeah, sometimes there are things that we have to work on too. And that's what makes us human and relatable to our clients and saying, hey, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get that tastes great. I know. Yeah, I've had that. I love that too. But it's also about, is it serving you that greater goal of reducing the symptoms that are giving you a really hard time? So if we're talking about androgens, when we start linking these things to these elevated androgens where you're having the acne, you're having, you know, the hair growth and you're not, your periods are irregular and you're like, I just want to feel better. And you can understand the link of the foods that we're eating. The motivation then comes like, yeah, well, I do want to change this and I want to turn this around. And there's that motivation to be like, I'm going to make better choices because it's going to help me feel better on the inside and also reflecting out too. So I think it's great that people can hear this and start to see the links and then
Cool.
hopefully, make the change.
Yeah. 100%. I did, which means anyone can. Yeah, I like the part that you said that we are human as well. We're not just the food police. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Let's move on to probably the most notorious fat out of all of them from an unhealthy point of view anyway, and that's trans fats. So they're the worst offenders. They do increase inflammation. They do worsen blood lipids, and they do mess with your insulin sensitivity. So if you see like partially hydrogenated oils on a label, like in say, margarine or something along those lines, although the trans fats in margarines seem to be going down compared to what they used to, but there's still a lot of them, particularly the cheap ones, still have this hydrogenation. Then that's your cue to just go, no thanks, and just put it back on the shelf.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess that leads us to, what can we do? And that was a really good tip. But I'd love to hear, when we're thinking about adding some omega-3s and thinking about those healthy fats, what can we do to add these healthy fats into the diet and what would be good? Where's a good start?
So I know I've talked about popping one of my omega-3 supplements or capsules, but that is definitely not what you want to do. You want to fix the food first. That'd be a very strong recommendation. So aim for 2 to 3 servings of oily fish a week. So things like salmon, trout, tuna, sardines, herring, Spanish mackie, fish like that. And that's the easiest way to boost those really important omega-3 fatty acids, so the EPA and the DHA.
Yeah. And if you don't eat fish, then we could look at the omega-3 supplements. And also, if you're a vegetarian, perhaps we can look at an algae oil supplement. That's a brilliant plant-based option. They're derived from algae and their original source is DHA. And studies show absorption is just as good as fish oil. So we can look at different options if someone is vegetarian and wants to go down that pathway as well.
Mm. But think about what you're getting in the fish compared to what you're getting in the supplement. So, whilst from an omega-3 point of view, that's fantastic with the supplement and the fish, you're also getting a whole bunch of other vitamins and minerals, protein from the fish itself. So it's a hell of a lot more nutritious. So if you can go that way, then certainly that would be the preference. So for PCOS, around 1 to 4 grams per day of this combined EPA and DHA can be beneficial, depending on your diet, of course, and your individual needs. But always check in with your healthcare provider, like us, like myself and Laura, your dietitians or your GP or anyone knows anything about omega-3s, and just see if you are on medications like blood thinners. It's always good to just run past what you want to do in terms of the omega-3 supplementation with that healthcare practitioner.
Absolutely. And as dietitians, we're also going to guide you when to increase, when to decrease the supplement, and also when to cease the supplement, which is really important
Mm.
if you've got any surgical things coming up. You do need to cease your omega-3s before that because it does increase blood flow. So there's lots of conversations to be had when you start a supplement. So keep that in mind, that we're not saying that taking the omega-3 supplements is for everybody. There still needs to be a conversation with your health team, and when to cease it is also something to ask them as well. So that is a good start, looking at the omega-3s from your food and perhaps considering supplementation. But at the same time, like we touched on earlier, lowering saturated and trans fatty acids from your diet is really important. So looking at those deep fried foods, those coconut-based products, your processed meats and baked goods, just having a recall of, how frequently you're having these foods and trying to make some simple swaps like the coconut oil, moving on from that to an olive oil, avocado, trying to incorporate more nuts and seeds into your diet. And that can give you a healthier fat balance. And that's what we want to achieve.
And it doesn't mean you can't have any of those other foods that Laura spoke about. You can sometimes have coconut-based products, and dare I say, the odd occasion you can still have some deep fried foods. It's just more what you do for the most part that really counts. So every now and then's okay. But if you're doing it all the time, then definitely, as Laura suggested, swap over those staples, if they become staples, into things like olive oil, avocado, nuts and seeds. So to sum it all up, fat isn't the enemy. It can actually be one of your biggest weapons in the fight against or living with PCOS. The right fats can certainly be your ally, but the wrong fats can certainly push you back a little bit.
Absolutely. So let's boost that omega-3 ratio. We really hope that we've encouraged you to do so because that can reduce the inflammation, support your hormone balance, and improve your fertility outcomes. And of course, help you to feel better in your day-to-day. I think, this is a nice reminder if you're already on those omega-3s to take them. And if you've been lacking in having fish regularly, then now's the time to get back onto that wagon.
So that's why when it comes to PCOS, fat deserves way more attention than just eat less of it, because some really healthy fat sources are full of anti-inflammatories, antioxidants, things that we need, things that are essential to life and certainly can help us with our PCOS.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast. It's not you, it's PCOS. If this episode helped you clarify some of the fat confusion, share it with a friend and hit follow for more evidence-based tips.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.